guys, if you're watching this, it's because for whatever reason you couldn't come to the lesson today, or you maybe want to go back through what we've learnt today. So hopefully this will help. As always, if you've got any problems or any questions, drop me an email. I've kind of filmed this in front of this, but you can't see it too well, but we'll see as we go. So first topic we are looking at is in the theory section, and this is sociology and science. Now, with the theory section, all you need to worry about is 10 and 20 markers. 20 markers you're very used to, 10 markers as well, and also the 10 markers, there's never an item, so you don't need to worry about extracting anything from the item or evaluating. Now, what we are going to be looking at is we're going to be building a debate where some sociologists think sociology is a science and should be considered a science, and others think it isn't a science and should not be considered a science, so we need to be prepared and ready for those two debates. Okay, now what you've got on this first slide is a list of key terms that had something to do with research methods and are really useful for doing theory. So what I'm going to ask you to do is revise these key terms. Please, I'll put the date on the PowerPoint depending on what class you're in for when you need to be prepared to get that done. So you're just revising your key terms as your first bit of homework for the year. Okay. Now what we're looking at today is arguments that sociology is and can be a science. Positivists, if you were doing a work over the lockdown, which I assume you're aware, you'll be more than used to. So let's have a look at what I'm going to get you to do in class is think about a science lesson, an experiment you did in science, and think of the different aspects. Now, because you're not here, I'm just going to go through some things that are quite important when you do a science experiment. So I'll remind you of, I'll tell you about a science experiment I did when I was at school that I believe you guys still do now. We got a golf ball, we bounced it, and we measured how high it bounced. We then froze the golf ball and measured how high it bounced, and then we heated the golf ball and measured it how high it bounced, and the impact was to see how the external variable has an impact, the external variable of heat has an impact on how high the ball bounces. I cannot remember the results, I cannot remember why we did the study, but that was the study we did. Now, these experiments show us some key features of what we actually mean by science. We didn't just bounce a ball once, we did it lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of times. The reason we did that is because we needed to collect a wealth of data to prove our hypothesis. That's something we know positivists have talked about before. Secondly, we use reliable methods. So I didn't just guess with my mate, oh, I think it was this height. It wasn't anything to do with my opinion. We used a ruler, so whoever did the experiment could redo the experiment and use the same ruler, same measurements, and do it again and repeat the data. Also, by using a ruler rather than guessing, it was completely objective. So science, it's reliable, you collect a wealth of data to prove a hypothesis, and you're objective. They're just some of the key features. And finally, the overall idea is you're looking at how an external impact, an external variable, has an impact on an internal variable. Okay, now if you remember, positivists agreed with this. So you might remember a few facts like research methods they really liked, or research methods they really liked, or the fact that they valued reliability and representative data. So you might remember some of that, but overall they believe two things. Society is an objective factual reality, it's a real thing made up of social facts. What they mean by that is, like we can say it's a real thing that the heat affecting the bounce of the ball is a real thing and will always have that effect. It's the same thing with external variables in society. So level of poverty is always going to have an impact on someone's education. And leading on from this, they think we've got no free will and we're completely shaped by the facts around us. So like that golf ball had no free will on how high it bounced, we've got no free will on how we respond to external stimuli. So positivists such as Durkheim believe the real laws are discoverable and we can explain patterns. So by doing lots and lots of research, we can establish patterns, investigate and find things out. So this is the positivist overall belief. We can be a science because we don't have free will, so we can be discovered objectively and we can find out cause and effect. Okay, so I've kind of explain that and talk to it. So this is what I'm going to get everyone to do. We're going to look at a very simple science experiment. We can see that we're looking at the impact of heat on water, so what temperature water boils. What I would like you to look at is that in sociology, how we can do this, and I've given a suggestion using questionnaires. So how might you be able to formulate a hypothesis, looking at cause and effect, so looking at how one thing impacts another. Why are questionnaires an objective way of doing that? You might want to use a different method like lab experiments or structured interviews if you feel more comfortable with that. Why are you able to repeat the study to collect data? And how can you use the data to draw a conclusion? So that's what I would like you to do to explain how this simple science experiment and the philosophy behind it can be repeated within sociology. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just explain a simple key term to help you answer these questions. So to define what is meant by verificationism, we looked at this when we studied positivism in last year when we studied it, when you were on home study. Verificationism is, can you repeat and repeat and repeat the study enough times to gain enough data to prove a social fact? So if I give an example, and I'm just going to be like blatantly sexist here and say I said, okay, girls are better at sociology than boys. I wouldn't just take one girl and say she's better at sociology than the boy sat next to her, point proven. You would need to do that study, you would need to collect wealths and wealths and wealths of data to prove the fact that girls are better at sociology than boys. Now to do that you have to be objective, so you'd use objective methods rather than just saying, oh well, I think she answers more questions in class. We'd use something objective like comparing A-level results. So in the natural sciences, this tends to be used where you do a lab experiment. So a lab experiment can be repeated again and again and again and again because you can create that artificial situation that can be replicated. And we can also do this in sociology. And think about the Bobo dog study. The way he did that study, he can repeat in its absolute entirety. And what they want to discover with their research is social facts then. They want to discover these social facts because then we can use these to make improvement for society. So say if I found out that poverty increased the risk of educational failure, and I knew that for a social fact, now I could take that to the government and say, look, this has an impact, and they can start bringing in initiatives to help with that. Things like free school meals have come out of this type of research. So, and this one you should be able to easily answer a couple of research methods that they prefer to use. Okay, from what we've just done, I think you'd be okay doing this, but if you are stuck, please let me know. Marx has considered himself a positivist because he looked at cause and effect, he collected a wealth of data, he used objective methods, and he identified a social fact that communism is the ideal type of society. So he followed the positivist rules. However, what we know is, from our studies last year, communism isn't the ideal society for everyone. It's failed in lots and lots of different cultures. It's caused poverty. In Cambodia, we know hundreds of thousands of people were murdered because communism is easy to manipulate and take control over. Okay, and that is all you need to do for today's lesson. It's something new, something complicated, so I've got no problem with you emailing me if you would like. And I hope you're all well and look forward to seeing you again soon if you can't make it today.